What's up, everybody? Welcome to WooWoo Wednesday. Holy shit, my body has changed. It can do some cool things now, and everything feels different. So this is the third cycle through the latest version of the Ether program that we are running. On WooWoo Wednesday now, I've trimmed out some things because they just simply don't have enough time, and not all of them need to be there. I was trying to get too many things done just because I like to try to use all my different toys, and I want to find a way to make them fit every week. I don't need to make them fit every week. So some things got trimmed back to allow for extra time and effort on the few things that will have the biggest impact, this being one of them. So the first section, rather than just supersetting everything as a warm-up, we are spending additional time on each of the pieces of that warm-up. So the Royal Coil got plenty of attention. This was one of like 8 sets that I ended up doing. The crawling got extra attention. That got 5 or 6 total sets. The jumping got 5 or 6 total sets. Everything got a lot of specific work. So you'll see here that I have, not this one, this was an improvement. This was the best of these coils that I have been able to do so far. Was finally able to feel the weight distribution be correct. Was able to, after the 8 or so sets, actually pull my elbow down to feel my lat have anything to do with this movement, because it just took that many times of trying to get it positioned and integrated with everything. But after I did, holy shit, it felt cool. So this is the best Royal Coil that I've been able to do to date. Got the low lat kind of crampy feeling on both sides, which was cool. And then going into the crawling, I could really feel that coil make the crawling movements feel more coordinated. So I was able to I did 1 set of the baby crawl here. I did a couple sets of the bear crawl with the butt up. That was definitely the hardest one to do. I think that was 3 or 4 sets that I did. And by the last one of them, it was getting better, but still not quite great. So I ended up moving on to the beast crawl, which is like the baby crawl, but knees up off the ground. That one is, this one needs some work. The other one is kind of where I think I'm a little bit more prepared to work now. So while this was an improvement, and you can see that that coil pattern is starting to occur in these different crawl patterns, it should be more noticeable now. This was still really hard. So it took some time for my hips to position a little bit, and it just felt really clunky. I ended up going too much into my shoulders in a way that I didn't want to. So after this set here, I just kind of scrapped it and moved on to the beast crawl that I'll leave here. But check this out. Holy shit. This felt fairly coordinated. Look at my feet. They're actually staying straight and in line with my body. I was able to think my way walking backwards and kind of reach and feel and create awareness through my feet. That was really cool. I was able to turn in circles in this pattern, and then I kind of crawled in a zigzag down the length of the room. So just trying to find new ways to make the crawling activity more interesting, but also more challenging for my brain, because coordinating all of this, it's like this weird combination of, I have to think about it a little bit, but I can't necessarily cue it. So if I think about what any of my feet or hands or anything are doing specifically or too much, then I kind of don't know how to move my body at all. So it's this weird thing where I'm trying to rely on all of my senses aside from just consciously cueing things, and it was cool. And the crawling, especially in that one, is exhausting, but I was able to last a whole lot longer than the first or second time that I did it. So all of those felt really good and cool in a new way, and that was exciting. So that also took a shit ton of time to do, because we spent a lot of time on each of those things. Part of why we want to thin this down a little bit, but I think that this draft of the workout did exactly that. So also then added in some work with the RMT clubs. We want to continue working on that coiling pattern, but I want to integrate now some of the coiling core training now that it doesn't feel ridiculous and awkward. I want to start incorporating some of that, because I need to keep building proficiency with my coil. I need to be able to find that isometric tension in through the lats in a lot of different angles. I need to find it without having to sit and over cue it so much, and it needs to be something more reactive. So after probably 5 sets of these swings here, doing them really strict, we kind of switched over into a more reactive pressure on the green dot, trying to make it feel more athletic and less strict and overly cued. And doing that made it feel way less awkward. So this is one of tons of drills that can be trained with the RMT club. This is the one that I can feel like I'm doing the least incorrect at the moment. It just feels like the next best one to do, although expect me to probably keep learning and watching some more stuff and want to rotate in some club exercises. So now there's a place on the day to do that. But since the WooWoo Wednesday has now moved from being like a kettlebell and volume day, which it was like a year ago, to now literally just athletic movements and body weight things and learn how to move your own body around day, it made sense to pull out some of the conditioning circuit things and just dedicate more time to this. So the RMT club is going to be a way that we can add a conditioning element, and that also complements the act of running or just generally moving your body. So did that. The other thing I need to work on for jumping then is my landings and being able to pull my knees up. So on these jumps, you can see that I moved it back down to just the 4 risers. I am working on how I'm landing on the Bosu. Can I land in a kind of squat position? Can I think more about absorbing force with my legs rather than landing like a pencil? And then once I got up there and started working on that, then it was, okay, how do I work on my balance and coordination on the dome up high off the floor where I'm the most uncomfortable? So you can see lots of different styles of landing that I'm doing here. I also at some points started trying to run in place on the ball, which then focuses on the contact points and through the feet and feels really cool, but also it's off the ground and I still have a little bit of a problem with heights. So doing that period was cool to be able to do, but then doing that up high and not freaking out or fucking it up was also really cool. And then I started getting some ideas while I was up there and figured that another good way to work on this would be to work on my landing. So being able to reactively absorb impact. So after some time just kind of jumping around on this thing, I did a few hops from one Bosu down to the other one and focused on just landing as softly as I could and really absorbing that impact with my whole body instead of letting it be something that feels jarring and unathletic. So that was really cool too. That's something that I've not ever wanted to do before. I've never put any time into really working on it, and I think it's a missing part of my jumping because subconsciously I don't know how to land or didn't, or I'm still working on learning how to land. And that kind of knowledge that I don't really know what to do once I hit the ground, I better be careful with that. It carries over into how I approach jumping, I found, and how I approach landing. And then since running, the way I see it, is kind of a lot of landing, or how you land and the positions in which you land when you make contact with the ground, it makes sense that this is a thing that I should start working on. So that being the case, also then went out and did some running now. I haven't run in about 6 weeks since we first decided that this was what was going to happen on Wednesday, and holy shit, this looks different and feels different than it did before. I don't even fully understand all the things that happen. No, it's not perfect, but I can feel myself actually shifting my head over foot on each stride. I can feel the double down pulse into the ground. I can feel myself rotating and side bending and kind of sloughing my weight so that as I'm making impact with the ground, I'm in a really good position. Still not perfect, but it's much better than anything that I've done before. And this being the day after, I'm sore in places that are good, like my hamstrings and my adductors and my glutes and my obliques, not in my like ankles and knees and forearms and biceps and shoulders and traps. So really cool day. I'm excited to have running not feel like shit for the first time and to get to keep working on it. I wrote it. I hoped it would work. Deep down, I kind of knew it would work. And 6 weeks later, I've actually gotten better at running without having done any of it. So nice surprise.
Holy shit, I can run! And it doesn't hurt!